Yeah. John, are we good? Great. Good morning. I'm Bharat Mehra, Associate Professor in the School of Information Sciences, and I want to welcome you all here to our 8th College Diversity and Inclusion Week. And today's panel is on respect for religion, where we have different student perspectives on campus representing diverse religions, worldview, philosophies. And they will share some of their experiences and perspectives about belonging to a particular religion or worldview philosophy. But before we get to know them, let's get to hear from you all and get to know the audience a little bit about how many of you identify as religious? Great, we have about 10, 15. How many of you identify as non-religious? 4. Great. How about, since we are belonging where we are in the region, the majority religion is Christianity. So how many of you identify as Christians? Nice. Do you want to share what denominations or not a particular denomination within Christianity? What about non-Christians? How many identify as non-Christians? Then we'll try and identify those people. Not many. And we had one hand raised. What religious faith would you be identifying as a non-Christian?
Non-traditional Christian, like the Unitarian Universalists.
Ah, great. So that kind of gives us a perspective of the nature of the audience related to the topic today. And in our panel today, you will hear about different points of view, different aspects of religion or worldview philosophies, which might not be the same as yours. They might be different. They might have some aspects of similarity related to you, to what you have experienced and understood. Main aspect would be what the theme of this Diversity and Inclusion Week is, which is, some of you might know what that theme is. What do you recognize on the theme on the flyer? What does it say right on top? Respect. So our idea is here that we have different viewpoints which might be similar to yours, which might be different from yours, but the aspect is that we kind of respect each other. We respect the fact that each person is coming in from their own different experience. That's one of the main first theme of this panel. The second theme is, irrespective of the similarities or differences that we have, how can we strengthen our ties? How can we work together as what our basic essence of humanity is? And then because of our differences, that brings a strength to our understanding of each other and helps strengthen our ties better. And so that's the second theme related to that. Let me also ask you a question about what does it mean to you to be a religious person? What does it mean to you to be a non-religious person? For some people who are identifying as that, what does it mean to you to be a Christian? And what does it mean to you to be a non-Christian based on whichever different aspect or religion you identify with? So does someone want to kind of get the conversation started? What does it mean to you to be a religious person? Maybe what does it mean to you to be a Christian?
I guess as a religious person in whole, it means you have some sort of faith in something, that there's something you look to that's higher than, maybe what you can see. And then as a Christian particularly, that would go to Jesus Christ, and then having your faith put in Him. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much. What's your name?
Bo.
I really appreciate the fact that you spoke up and contributed to the conversation about what it means to you as being a religious person and as a Christian. How about others? Did it resonate with what we heard? Or do people have a different point of view about what it means to be a religious person or a Christian?
I came from a very traditional Christian upbringing in the last 2 to 3 years through just growing in respect and also hearing other people's point of views. I've learned a lot more about myself and also just morals in general. You can respect other people's views as well.
Nice, thank you. What about some of the other people? Speak up. This is kind of hopefully a safe space that you feel comfortable to be able to have this kind of a discourse and discussion. Because in many cases we don't have those opportunities. Others, did these ideas make sense? Does it people have the similar kind of meaning associated with being a Christian or a religious person? Yes,
I
thank
think
you.
like religion or being a religious person gives you kind of a purpose that maybe is not based on yourself. You know, there's something to kind of look towards. Whether I'm Christian, but whether that be any religion, it just kind of gives you something that doesn't resonate within yourself. Even though that yourself is part of like the main aspect of it. So I think like that's why I am. It's just specifically looking towards like I guess objective and a different part of it.
Nice. Others? So something broader than oneself, something which is a larger force. We had that point, respecting other points of view and recognizing the humanity in all. And of course, you mentioned about something that gives life a purpose, a meaning to us, and so much. Any other aspects to religion that we are missing out? Yeah.
Like a lot of religions is kind of like guidelines on how to live, like morals and stuff like that.
A structure to one's organization of oneself and how we relate to each other. That's really a valid point about the purpose of religion. Any other aspects that we might be missing out? What about non-religion?
I would just say I think there's a really important non-religious part to religion. So I am not religious at all. But I think I see an importance in religion in cultural ties and in community ties. And I think that as somebody who doesn't go to church, what I miss out on is the community that a church can give you, and that part of it would be more important to me than perhaps religious values.
Great, thank you so much. As all of you know, the word religion itself emerges from the Latin word religio, which means to bind. And bind meaning the social, cultural context of how we connect to each other in having that bond, in shared values, a structure of values and practices and beliefs that makes us come together and connect to people who belong to, who have a similar aspect to that. And that's where the word religion emerged from. And of course that over history we've seen different aspects of meanings related to that. So that's great to hear about another perspective on non-religion. We've seen some variety of religious meanings and non-religious. So let us move to our panel and see, have them share with us who they are, what religion or worldview philosophy do they identify with, and how has that shaped their life experiences and their thoughts about this.
Okay, I'm Keith LaShawn McGee II. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I'm a senior major in supply chain management with the collateral and marketing. I'm here representing Collegiate Black Christians, and this is an umbrella under an organization called InterVarsity Christian Fellowship, which is a national organization. They have campus ministries on campuses across the country. And for my particular organization, we're Collegiate Black Christians. It's not per se only for African American students, but it's a space for African Americans to worship and learn more about who Christ is. And definitely we have other umbrellas on campus, like we have multi-ethnic, and we also have Asian American group as well. So basically when it comes to my life, I grew up in the church. My father's a pastor. I grew up in the Baptist church. And of course, that thing of being in church all day on Sunday, and just all those kind of things. I've dealt with all of that, church meetings and all those kind of things. But when it comes to my faith, it took me coming to college and having to be a man on my own and go through different hardships and trials for me to really develop a relationship with God and with Christ. So I would say I had to get my values on my own. Like most people will say, they develop their faith from their parents' backgrounds, but I chose to experience and find Christ for myself. That's something I always say. I don't force what I believe on people, but I always say you should try it for yourself. And that's something that I did, and that's why I have strong faith, and that's where my values come from. So yeah, that's what I base most of my morals off of. Like, I definitely don't force what I believe on people. I don't believe in that. But you will probably see what I believe through the way I live. I try to do that and make sure that in the way that I am and my character and trying to uphold integrity, people kind of see what I do. And with CBC, we have Bible study on Tuesdays, and we also do different philanthropic activities through the week. We go to Emerald Academy, which is around the corner. We eat lunch with students, and we go do the Boys and Girls Club, and we also do different things in the community. So we're a Bible study organization where we spread Christ, but we also do things in the community as well.
What were some of the meaningful experiences in your life that were shaped by religion or believing in Christ?
I guess the most impactful things are just the spaces where in our faith we call them like tests, or like where different hardships and trials come in your life. Like I've tried different fasts, like I went 40 days maybe in my sophomore year without eating meat. The only thing I ate for 40 days was fruit, juice, and water, and that was probably the hardest thing in my life because I love meat. I love meat. We all love meat. Well, everybody does love meat, but I love meat. I thought that was the hardest thing I could do, but I stayed in the Word, I stayed in the Bible, and I just stayed faithful. And through that process, I was taught discipline. And discipline is one of the major things that I believe that I've learned through my faith. You can withstand all trials, you can withstand all temptation if you have discipline. So through that was probably one of my hardest, it was probably the worst hardship I've been through, but I was taught discipline, and discipline will carry you throughout anywhere in life, especially when it comes to integrity, when it comes to character, when it comes to situations you go through. If you have discipline, you can withstand anything. So that's one of the major things that probably my faith base has really taught me.
Thank you for sharing those personal experiences.
Hi everyone, I'm Jamie Marquez. I'm also from Memphis, Tennessee. I'm a junior here studying nutrition and public health, and I'm representing University of Tennessee Hillel. It's a Jewish student organization on campus. So what we do is we provide Jewish experiences for Jewish students on campus, or for really anyone who is like seeking to learn more about Jewish values. So that's largely through our Shabbat dinners, which is the day of rest. So we come together on Friday nights and we host Shabbat dinners. They're usually in the International House. Anyone's welcome to come. So that's our like big event. And then we also have partnered with the Knoxville Jewish community to offer services with local synagogues and things like that. It's a really great organization, and I would encourage anyone to look into it. But for me, so I actually grew up, my mother's Jewish and then my father's Christian. So I was the third grader who was like alternating Sundays and Saturdays and like going to Hebrew school on Wednesdays, but like leaving Hebrew school and going to church with my dad because he leads like Sunday school. So it was a really interesting upbringing, but my parents were super open about it, and I think that's what has really shaped me to who I am today. So it was always a discussion. It was never like, you are coming to Sunday school with me and we're going to learn about this and that's it. It was always like, hey, what did you think about today? Like, let's talk about this and let's try to find the similarities. So I think that's really like prepared me for today and talking about diversity among religion. But for me, so I identify as Jewish, and the biggest thing for me is giving back and like random acts of kindness. So those are the two Jewish values that I am really focused on, I would say, at this point in my life. And that's really shaped my college experience through like community service, and public health is largely service-based. So it's just been really great to kind of interconnect everything and all of my different backgrounds and be here today and be able to talk about it.
Great, thank you.
Hi, I'm Lisa Oliver, and I'm an undergraduate student in the School of Journalism and Electronic Media. I'm not part of any religious organization because I'm atheist. I kind of envy you having the nice groups you've got, but I don't do anything cool on Friday night. You're more than welcome to come to theater. I go to theater work. I do make documentaries and movies and things like that. So I'm involved in just the non-traditional kind of religion of theater and entertainment. I didn't come to my decision to be atheist lightly. I actually read the Christian Bible from cover to cover, including numbers, and came to my decision after that. It reminds me of 40 days. I observed Lent one year, and I decided that this wasn't for me, that I couldn't find any faith in the Christian or Catholic or Jewish. I looked at Buddhism, and it just wasn't there. I'm okay with who I am. I tell people that I have a moral compass. It's just not got a brand name on it. I just don't think there's something way out there, far away, that's going to punish me if I do something bad. I just choose to do the right thing because it's the right thing.
Great, that's really courageous and a lot of strength that it takes to speak up in the public forum as such. Thank you for doing that. So let us get back to the audience. And did some of these insights or life experiences resonate with you in terms of what shapes people in terms of believing in a certain religion or a worldview philosophy? Yes.
I actually have the same experience as Keith as far as being connected to my religion. I literally went to church every day every Sunday since I was born. There was just a thing in my family, but I never had that connection. I never felt anything spiritual. I was just more there. I clapped my hands, I sang the songs, but it wasn't really a connection. But being here, going through the process of finding a church that I really liked, I felt connected to, and actually having to pray on my own and get through the situations that I faced in school really helped me develop their relationship, not because my parents told me to or because they wanted me to. I did it on my own and for myself. So.
Great, thank you. Yes, we had a hand.
I think for me, I can agree with both of them and the fact that like I didn't find like myself within Christ until I came to school. I know, like I said, like every Sunday, every Wednesday, I was in church with my parents, and yes, that's okay. You know, it shaped me into the woman that I want to be after school. But when you have those late nights where you're stressed and everything, for me, I had to rely on my faith and learning it through myself and going to church by myself and finding a church here in Knoxville, which is kind of hard for me just because I was so used to going to the one back at home in Ohio. So when I did come here to the university, I didn't really know about, Peace Organization or that organization. So now that I hear it as a senior, it's good. It'll be good to, speak to freshmen that are, we're in my shoes. That, there are organizations on campus that we can go to, speak about that.
Great. How about some of the others? Yes.
Jamie, you said you alternated between Christianity and the Jewish faith. What was the turning point in you making your decision to, I think that you're now with the Jewish faith.
Yes.
So what was the turning point and what influenced that?
Yes, so like you said, I was alternating, and so it was there wasn't really one major turning point. It was kind of over time. So I always tell the story of how, so one Sunday I went to church in the morning and then was going to Jewish Sunday school afterwards, and somehow it ended up that like both classes were teaching like the binding of Isaac. And so I went to my dad's church, and I was sitting in on a Sunday school class, and they were talking about like a different perspective on it. And then I went to Sunday school, and it was the same exact story, and we had a completely different conversation about it. And so I think I was in 5th grade maybe, and I was like, wait a second, like we literally just read the same exact words, but we're having a completely different conversation. And so that really kind of pushed me to start reading it and start like making my own conversations and kind of discovering it on my own, because I was like, how is this possible that it can be so different if we're reading the same words? And so that really like pushed me to do a lot of self-reflection and kind of find it on my own. So I would say that was the major, like, I guess, turning point, and then over time it led me to identifying more as Jewish. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
one other question.
Yeah.
This is the B part. The holidays. With both parents.
Good question.
What do you do as far as
Yeah.
your traditions?
Okay, so that's a really great question, and I truly, like, if there's one thing my parents did right, it was balancing the holidays. So, so we go to all the major ones together. So like my dad comes, so right now we're in the middle of the High Holy Days for the Jewish faith. And so my dad is a remarkable person. He was like, I'm not gonna sit in these services and not understand. So he actually learned Hebrew, which was huge in our family. So we all go to services together, and then like my mother and I go to Easter services, Christmas services, like the big ones, and then there's just kind of this open understanding that if I want to go to church with my dad, I go, and if I want to go to synagogue, I go. So it's just very open space.
I think we had another question here.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, were they reading the Christians when they were reading it differently? Were they reading it in light of coming Messiah? Is that why
Yes.
it's so different?
Yes, and it was like, whoa, like that is not what we just talked about. So it was like, oh my goodness, I don't know what's happening. Yeah. As a 5th grader, it was interesting.
Yes.
I have a question for Lisa. Before you set your mind to become atheist, were you ever peer pressured into believing in a religion or taking one on that you really didn't feel connected to?
Oh, yes. That's a big reason why you won't get a lot of atheists to come to a panel like this, is because there's a lot of pressure. I've lived in East Tennessee, and I can speak about East Tennessee and myself. In East Tennessee, everybody's Southern Baptist, and you better be Southern Baptist or else. From the very first job I had, or out in school, when people started talking about religion, as an older student, it was, what do you mean you don't go to church? And specifically in the work environment from early age, because I started working when I was 16, they would have potlucks for the holidays, and they do the office exchanging up the gifts for Christmas and things like that. And then people would have, they would be telling me to have a blessed day, which I've gotten used to hearing that, but at first it was kind of, aren't you kind of trying to push that on me? I felt like it was trying to be pushed on me. And there would be, if I did not react like I was into what they were doing, the religious messages that would get passed around. They would have little plaques on their wall with the praying hands, and it was everywhere. And for a person who's not Christian, you don't understand that it's just all over. And, you know, God bless you whenever you sneeze. And I'm like, why are you saying that to me? I say Gesundheit. I compromise. And that doesn't seem to offend anybody right now. But I did hide. I did pretend that I was into it so that I wouldn't get fired from jobs. I have pretended to be a Christian, and if I have to do so again, I talked about this in diversity class. I flat out said in front of the class, it was 100 people in that class, the thing was full. It's like, if I gotta pretend to pay, be a Christian to pay my mortgage, I'm gonna do it. And that's why some of my friends who are not religious said to me, why are you going up there and talking in front of everybody? Aren't you afraid something bad's gonna happen to your career? And that's why some of the people who were asked to be in this spot right here wouldn't come up, because they're afraid that their career will be impacted. So yes, I feel that pressure, and it's still there, even though I'm 47 now. So, and I've been through a whole lot. I've almost died. So ever since then, it's like, I'm not afraid. If you don't like the fact that I'm atheist, then that's on you.
That's really powerful. Again, thank you for speaking up. Any questions for the panelists? Yes.
Yeah, Lisa, you said you believe in a moral law. I'm confused on where you believe that comes from, if you don't believe there's a moral law giver.
I think it comes from our society in general, the human society. I live amongst a group of people, human beings, and human beings, if you don't act appropriately, if you go around hitting people, you're going to be ostracized. If you go around treating people badly, you spit on somebody, you're going to be ostracized. If you murder somebody, you're going to be ostracized. You're going to be thrown in jail. The human laws are sufficient to keep people on the right and wrong. And I'm not talking about the laws passed by Congress. I'm talking about the laws of a society, kind of the natural law of the human being. Because once you live in groups, you have to be able to tolerate one another. And you can tell as a person, if you're not raised alone in a basement somewhere, you know that what's right and what's wrong is taught to you by all of the people around you.
Yes, Lisa, when you said you read through the Bible, what was your reaction when you read through the whole Bible? You guys kind of your tour.
That was a lot of information. That was a big book that I read, small print, and I couldn't read it today because my eyes are too bad. I don't have good enough eyesight to read that thing now. I'd have to get large print. I think they were great stories. I think there were some great parables in there. It's kind of like Aesop's fables to me, is how I think of them.
That's really valuable. Myself, I was born in India in a Hindu family, and the structure was very imposed. It was what my family, my parents grew up with, the rituals that they were following it in blind faith. And it was, I would say, orthodox. So my reaction was resisting that because I wanted to understand it on my own. And only when I came to the United States, I started teaching Asian mythology to undergraduates like you at the University of Illinois for several years. Through that process of understanding the deeper aspects of the religion, that it made me aware and recognize the difference between religion and spirituality, and that aspects like humanity, compassion, empathy, love, all in our Eastern philosophies we believe in everything emerging from the same source, and so we then treat each other as we are all the same. And so that was a philosophy, but how it got practiced was very different, and that's what my resistance was. And since then I believe in spirituality rather than religion, but I understand the social and the cultural aspects of bringing people together, having a shared values, shared understanding of who we are and such. But I will bring a related question in this context, that in this day and age, we see all around us a lack of humanity, a lack of compassion and empathy and understanding of each other. So in that context, many people have said that religion has become irrelevant. So does the audience relate with that? If yes, how do we address that? Or if not, then what is the core central basis principle of religion or worldview philosophy, whatever that might be? We'll ask the audience that, and then we pose that similar question to the panelists. What is the core central core understanding or mission of religion in terms of the 21st century, in terms of the contemporary environment that we find ourselves in, where we see that quite missing? So what do you think is the central aspect of religion in order to address those forces that might be at play?
I would say it's valuing the individual as inherently having worth.
Valuing the individual, that's...
Inherently having worth, that regardless of who you are, you inherently have worth.
Because we all are part of it. We are in our essence, we are the same. We are made of the same atoms and molecules, if you want to look at it from the scientific perspective. If you want to look at it from the spiritual perspective, that we are all related to the same source, whatever that source is called, God, any other aspects to it. Yes?
Like piggyback on that, like on spirituality, nobody's born with like the one to hate. Everybody's born like to love other people, and those dividers are put up by people in religion and stuff like that. So when those are broke down, you kind of just get to the point where I'm at. I think that people are naturally good as opposed to people are naturally bad. There's times where people make bad decisions, and people make bad decisions every day, but it just needs to be more highlighted that people are good as opposed to bad. Because I think honestly, if you give a person a chance, most of the time they're going to make a good decision.
So we all kind of are, through our ingrained reaction and growing up in a particular culture or society, we don't adopt that. We lose that essence to give benefit of doubt to the others. And we kind of become, the distrust is there rather than the trust. Right? How does the panelists respond to that?
I agree with what he said about like I've been saying about everybody having worth and also having the capacity to love. I do think it's definitely wrong when hate comes about when we have different beliefs. In my perspective, like I believe what I believe, but I still love everyone. Even if you just look through like some of the biblical passages, like Jesus always crosses those boundaries that are set up by society. Like we talk about him being a Jewish man, having a conversation with a Samaritan woman. That would never happen. But Jesus crosses those boundaries, and she'll show love regardless of who she was or what she believed. And that's kind of what I use as my compass. Like, we don't have to believe the same thing, but I still love you. Like, every person that lives has worth and has purpose. So I love you regardless of your beliefs. Thank you.
To me, the big quote that's like really standing out in this conversation is, I read it recently, it's the quote, us, not them. So it's really the idea that like together we must come together, or I just said together twice, but like together we're stronger so than just referring to them as, just referring to others as them. And that goes along with like the three things that I really believe in Judaism, which are like loving your neighbors, loving God, and turning strangers into friends. And I think until you really understand why people believe the way they do and like what has shaped them, it's kind of almost impossible to coexist. So really understanding the why and really trying to figure out people's backgrounds and figure out where they come from in order to make the world a better place, essentially.
Thanks. Lisa?
I've got it easy, I think, because every religion is equal in my eyes. And I don't dislike somebody because they're religious. It's just another thing, that a hobby they have to me. And so I have absolutely no reason to hate somebody because they have a different hobby than I do.
Great, and as you, yes, sorry.
I was going to say this, one of the sad things is that more people have been killed in the name of religion in history, humankind, than any other factor. Our intolerance of each other because somebody believes differently than we believe from a religious point of view is epic. The Crusades is an example. You can go all back through history in terms of people, because they believe a certain way, want everybody to believe how they believe. If you don't believe that way, you know, something's wrong with you, and then people get attacked. We need to come together, regardless of our background and what we believe. As was said, every human life has value, and we have to find a way to be tolerant of each other and to get along. You know, like Rodney King's not an exact quote, but for the younger group, does anybody know who Rodney King was? It doesn't quite apply to religion. It was back in there were the riots in Los Angeles, and the police beat up Rodney King. And afterwards, you know, he just said, "Can't we all just get along?" That's paraphrasing. But so much of life is about, can't we all just get along? Whatever our philosophy is. So, you know, that's got to be at the core of what we try and do as Homo sapiens. And try and figure out a way to get along and how to build people up rather than tear people down.
And I like to throw out the word tolerant. Reminds me, like, we got a little dog here, it is, it's respect and love, combine those together. I just think those are the key elements in trying to respect each person for who they are and what they bring to the table.
Thanks so much, and I'm glad you pointed that out, because the topic of tolerance has been used a lot. Let's tolerate each other, as if it's like you have no other choice, so that we have to live with them, so we kind of, that's a really kind of a negative kind of aspect. Something about accepting each other. Acceptance has now become a more progressive understanding of within religious context and otherwise. How to accept and live with each other as a community, living together and believing in, we have all our shades of differences, and even in the same religious faiths and worldview philosophies, we are not exactly thinking and practicing aspects in the same manner. And that would be, we are all unique people, so we interpret those values and beliefs and the structure and principles of religion, but we internalize that. And then we practice that in different ways. That's the aspect of human understanding. And so recognizing that within, across different religions and worldview philosophies, I think, is also one of the key lessons or message here. You had a question?
I don't think that any of us in here is really the problem when it comes to religion. And this is the fundamental problem. It's easy to talk about having, needing to love one another and needing to. Yes, of course we do. But I think there is an inherent obligation that we have. Again, I'll stress I'm the probably other atheist in the room. But there is an inherent obligation we have to push back against our institutions when they're not doing the right thing. There is no religion, just as there's no atheist that's perfect, the institution or the people within them. So, I mean, you cannot just blindly, you use the term blind faith, and I think that's where we run into trouble. You cannot just be blindly faithful. You can't, that turns into fundamentalism very quickly, right? And fundamentalism is where we have problems with violence. You look at what's happening to Rohingya today, you don't have to go, it's happening right now, ethnic cleansing of all sorts. Religious persecution is happening everywhere. How do you fight those things? This is part of it, but part of it is also to turn to your institution and push back. Finally, the Catholic Church, which is the religion I grew up in, has a pope who is a little bit more progressive now, and there is more acceptance in general. But I think it has to start within the institutions. It's up to people to also question their institutions and not just blindly accept what they're being told.
Great point.
It's on this topic, I have a question for Keith. I went to a Lutheran undergraduate school, and I came in as coming from a more Baptist tradition, and was laughed at in religion classes because we would use a worship team, and we would have a drama, and that's not what Lutherans do. And so, even within Christian traditions, there are these divisions that you're not Lutheran, you're not Catholic, you're not Baptist, you don't do it my way. How does your organization, as a much more broad Christian-based organization, not specific to a denomination, how do you facilitate discussion among multiple Christian traditions?
I'm glad you brought that up. That's something I discuss a lot amongst believers of the faith. You can look through scripture. I have not seen a portion where Jesus mentions denominations. Haven't seen that. And I have seen a part where Jesus was with disciples, and the disciples were like, these people over here, they're preaching, they're doing this and that. And Jesus was like, if not against us, they must be for us. So it's like, in my mind, denomination means nothing to me. I mean, of course, they were put together and people have their own tradition, those kind of things, but my mindset is all about spreading the gospel. That's what it is to the core. Like, denomination is like you said, it's divisive. Even amongst the faith, people are like, your denomination is better or yours is worse, and that does nothing but cause turmoil, and people from the outside looking in see division amongst what you're trying to spread, and people don't, it's enough division in the world. Why would I want to come and be a part of more confusion? So that's what I always say, denominations are fine, I have no problem with them, but they can be divisive. But the main thing is just spreading the gospel in my eyes. That's something I always say, I can't find a scripture that talks about your denomination being a better denomination or denominations even mattering.
Okay. So Judaism obviously has the same issues when it comes to denominations and Orthodox and Reformed. And I think the big thing for our student organization is just facilitating any type of Jewish experience for students. So whether that means me tagging along with someone who wants to go to Chabad, which is a more traditional and Orthodox service, or us as a group going to Temple Bethel, which is Reformed. I think it's just coming together as a group and allowing others to express their own version of Judaism. And for me, that's been really interesting because I just feel like my whole life is like a continuous questioning. So I'm continuously getting placed in different environments and different places that force me to question my own beliefs. And I think that when you recognize that, so I don't identify with Chabad, which is what we went to the other week, and recognizing that I can still get something out of going to Chabad and going to more traditional Orthodox services, and allowing that to shape who I am as a Jew. Because I think if you go to any Jewish organization, they're gonna have something valuable to say, and just searching for those things and searching for empathy and allowing it to shape you is how I have overcome that division.
You said you want to add something?
Well, I didn't study a lot of the different Christian groups, types. It got confusing, and I did study the Southern Baptist point of view because it was everywhere. It permeated my life. And I just studied the Catholic point of view because the Southern Baptists were like, the Catholics, what? How dare you? We had a Catholic president. Oh my God. And sorry. But I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say that or not. That is, on an aside note, I think the Christian mingle thing is blasphemism. I think that's what I would define if I was looking in the Bible as using God's name in vain. It'd be a commercial. But that's an aside. On this though, I tried to study Methodist a little bit, and they scared me because they were like really anti, the people that I were with and talking to were really anti-Baptist, and I was like, okay, now you guys are scaring me. So I kind of stopped with that. So when you start talking about the different type, Presbyterian, Methodist, I don't understand.
How does the audience respond to that? Because all of you said that the majority here is Christians, and do you belong to the same denominations? How do you, coming back to the theme of this whole week here, diversity and inclusion, how do you connect to people who are belonging to different denominations? Not to speak about people who are belonging to different religions or worldviews. How do you relate to each other? Do you get opportunities to interact with each other across different denominations? I haven't interacted so much with undergraduate students, so I would be really curious to hear that.
I really like what you said earlier about how he shows his faith is through your character, and you don't have to necessarily even tell people like what it is, but it should just be kind of shown. And I think I I really believe in loving people with an unyielding heart, and regardless. And so I think human connection is huge for me, and I think that is the basis of a lot of faith. So if you kind of build on that, you don't have to define what it necessarily is. You don't have to say that to someone. You don't have to say I'm a Christian. You can say I'm a human. And yes, you can believe what you believe in. I do believe in Christianity, but I also think more so I would say spirituality. Yeah.
Thank you. Others? Yes.
When you asked in the beginning who considers them a religious person, I kind of was almost scared or to raise my hand or not, because yes, I consider myself religious, but no, I don't go to church every Sunday, but that doesn't mean I don't believe in anything in particular. I just want to say I really respect the fact that how open all three of you are, saying how you said you don't ask people what their denomination is. I come from the north, a very Catholic-oriented area. When I first came down here, I asked someone what the difference between Catholic and Baptist was, and their answer was that I'm corrupt because I'm Catholic. But we believe in the same God, so how can you tell me that I'm a very bad, corrupt person just because of what a handful of people might have done that believe in the same thing as me? So I just wanted to say, I really respect how respectful you guys are being to everybody that believes in the same thing as you.
Thank you.
I grew up in a non-denominational church, but lived next door to a holiness church. And I started the first youth group in my church because I told the minister I was kind of bored. And I thought that we could do, and I thought the youth could do as well as the adults. And so we start doing sing type of choirs on Sunday afternoon. I too, Keith, lived in church, morning, noon, and night. But just beyond that, when I got ready and started dating the dean here, we had concern. It wasn't about the color of one's skin, it was about religion. And I knew that the Lord had worked in my life and I loved him and et cetera, but we had concerns. And so we cried about many nights about religion, what we're gonna do. And we both decided that we love, to serve God, et cetera. But to make the long story short, I know within me who I am and what I value and the miracles that have happened in my family, in my life. So therefore, I learned that I could worship God because it was in me at all the different places and spaces where I went. Be it the Catholic Church, be it the Holiness Church, be it the Baptist Church, it's within me. And so I think knowing who you are and what you stand for, that goes a long ways.
Thank you.
Okay.
Others, how do you get opportunities to interact or have discussions and understand each other across the denominations or across different religions or worldviews? So that leads to my last question actually, and that might help spark more thoughts about this. How can we relate to religion or a variety of worldview philosophies in order to build a sense of community? How can we establish acceptance and love and understanding of each other? How has it done that in your lives, and how can we do it as we move forward in the future?
I would say, like, I just feel like just sticking to, I mean, I definitely believe you should believe in what you believe, definitely. And just, like you were saying, having a respect for it, and like just showing love. Love is, I think, the easiest way to do it. I mean, of course, it's easier said than done, but it's gonna take a lot of work because of just how society's been set up. I hate to go this direction, but I mean, when, I'm not sure who people voted for, but when you have a leader in your country that does that, you know, I think everything starts from the head down. So if it's always poured into you to have a sense of hate every now and again, it's hard. So you're gonna have to shake up some of the institutions that are already built, which is something that was already, and a lot of people don't like to do that because being going to UT, like, we love tradition and people love tradition. So it's kind of hard to break up institutions and all those kind of things, but it takes work. And that's something that Jesus said in the Bible. He said, the harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few, which means there's so much work to do. Who's really going to put the work in to do those kind of things? So I definitely believe it's doable, but it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of people putting in time, a lot of people just having these discussions and dealing with wounds that have not been fixed. Dealing with issues in society that have not been talked about, that have been swept under the rug for years. We have to have those hard conversations, and not have those conversations come from a space of hate, but a conversation that you understand how I'm feeling. It's not about what you do, it's about how you make someone else feel. That's what I believe. It's not about what you do, it's about how you make others feel. So it takes a lot of work and it's doable, but people are gonna have to drop their pride and just have those tough conversations so we can have a sense of community.
Yeah, Jamie?
Well, that's kind of hard to follow up. Basically, like, funny years to everything you just said, but I would add to that. So in my life, I've learned that the second you let different worldviews or your own worldview like limit yourself is where you start going wrong. So for example, so my dad practices Christianity, like I said, and he goes on mission trips, and I'm interested in global health. So I was like, hey Dad, like, can I come with you? And like the church was kind of like, wait a second, like she's not Christian. And my dad was like, well, she like wants to help out, she has some medical experience, like she's coming with me. So the minute that you let those walls block you from bettering the world and making it a better place is the minute I think that it starts to go wrong. So I think it's not just like limiting yourself and just continuing to love others and to really like sky's the limit, and when you do that, I guess is what I'll say. And then another note, kind of in a different direction, not to get political, but it's kind of impossible to do in this day and age. So as well as religion, my parents differ politically, so it's been a really interesting family vibe lately. But I think it's understanding the core values of people. It's accounted for a lot of interesting family conversations, but understanding why, I've said this previously, but understanding why people feel the way they do. And I think you had such a strong point about like recognizing that you're gonna have to put down your pride and recognizing that there's still open wounds. And even if you disagree with the actions, agreeing with why they're doing it. And I think until we can do that, we can't do anything. So that would be my take on that one.
Thank you.
But that's hard to follow up.
Hard to follow up.
Yeah.
I know both of you. Let's see. Well, I like to separate the religious person from the institution. I have two very close friends that are very religious people, and they accept me for who I am, and I'm totally okay with them being very religious people. I'm not going to attack them for that. I'm not going to have an argument with them, even over drinks. I think the thing is you remember that the name of religion killed a lot of people. But if you look at the individual person and accept them or choose not to, be their friend. It's based on their personality and whether they're just a so-and-so. Because, you choose your friends based on how they treat you. And if they're treating you fine because they're religious, that's fine. But if they're treating you fine because they're not religious, it's fine too. I have a mix. And I think that I love the little collection. I have 15 Facebook friends, and 3 of them are very devout Christians. And I don't have a Facebook friend who is not my actual close friend. I mean, I love Miss Work, but she ain't my Facebook friend. Yes, she'd be my Facebook friend. But I think that I got my point across. I'm going to stop rambling because.
No, I think it makes complete sense. Coming from a Gandhian tradition of grassroots, I think what all of you said makes complete sense to me. That we do have power to change, but it means a lot of work. It means making connections at a personal level and recognizing that each person is bringing their own experiences and their understanding of that particular religion or whichever category they fit into, that they're bringing their interpretation and you're bringing your own. How do we mutually respect each other for our basic human essence? So I think, any closing thoughts that we have?
I just would like to share that there's an organization we started here a little over a year ago called A Seat at the Table, and it's designed to do exactly what some of you have said, which is to hear each other, to actually really hear and learn people's backgrounds, their faith histories, and how that can interrelate. So the very simple description is it's a group of 10 to 12 people of different kinds of backgrounds who come around a meal and spend 5 minutes sharing their personal worldview, or their personal history, and then answering a question. So if anyone's interested in learning more about that, I'd be happy to share it afterwards.
Great, thank you. We do need more venues and spaces like that, safe spaces. And any other thoughts from the audience? Was the comment? Yes, please.
I just have one quick question for the entire panel. So being, I'm trying to think of how to phrase it, but coming from each of your own viewpoints, I guess, with the amount of political correctness in the world today, does it impact how you live your own lives?
Great question.
Go different.
You wanna
Go
go
opposite.
How do you find the strength to respond to the circumstances that we are immersed in?
Oh, right now, yeah, I'm afraid that if I, getting into politics, if I met some of the people that are in charge right now, they probably wouldn't like me very much. I do feel threatened by that. I, again, had friends who were like, why did you agree to do this in this political climate? You could, you're sticking your neck out. And so, yeah, at first when the election first happened, I was like, oh, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to keep down. I'm going to keep my head low, and I'm going to hide. And I'm going to try not to be seen. And then I had someone very close to me say, give me the pep talk of, you can't do that. That's not you. That's not who you are. And you won't end up doing it anyway. And they were like, you're going to have to stand up because as soon as somebody says something, you're going to open your mouth. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So now I'm not afraid to speak up. I'm going to make sure that if something is said that is wrong, I'm not sitting down anymore. I'm going to stand up. If somebody says something that, isn't real, the problems that are here in our country right now with racism that's a problem that's real. And I'm not going to sit down and sitting there hiding amongst the table of East Tennessee white people who are from the particular county that I'm in, who all fly the rebel flag. I'm standing up to them. I'm going to say that's wrong.
I think one of the ways to overcome the fear is to realize that we are not alone. We might think we are alone, but there are many who might have similar aspects of thinking, and the aspect is to reach out and find those people, because many others might be finding ways to find their voice or be able to resist the institutions across different religions or otherwise. But if you don't speak up, then we won't find those. Sorry, go ahead, Jamie.
So I would also agree with the whole idea of standing up. And when you asked that question, my first thought was a lot of Jewish leaders, like a lot of Jewish political leaders, have been questioned on like if they're going to remain in their positions or like what they have to say about recent political events. And I think what I identify with most was someone asked, I can't remember his name, but someone asked a Jewish political leader like after Charlottesville, like what do you think? Like are you stepping down? Like do you need me to help write your like resignation letter? Like what are you going to say in your press conference? And his response was like, no, why would I sit down during this time? Like this is when I need to be standing up the most. And I think that's kind of how I respond to the idea of like respect and diversity and all the political issues is when people are asking me like, oh, are you gonna sit down like because like are you not gonna identify with this because you disagree with them? No, like that's when you stand up the most and that's when you facilitate those conversations that force people to understand why and force people to really just come together and like, work towards social justice.
I guess like if you ever got a chance to know me, one thing you would know first is that I'm religious. I'm a Christian, but also you know I love politics. I love poli-sci, I love politics. We can talk about politics all day. We can talk about American history, the roots, all those kind of things. I'm taking my LSAT in December, going to law school hopefully next fall. So that's me. So I love politics, grew up in politics, so I can talk it all day. But I also believe that I don't really care about political correctness. I care about telling the truth. People need the truth. Political correctness, it needs to go out the window. Like people are losing lives. They're not getting their entitlements. They're not getting what they need because people are trying to be politically correct. People need things. So it's like you can't be politically correct. And I also am not afraid to lose job opportunities, all those kind of things, because I believe in what Matthew 6 says. It says he takes care of the birds and the bees, and they are not his children. Why would he not take care of us? So I'm like, what do I have to be afraid of? Like fear is gone, and I've learned that fear is not of God. So I believe in God, fear is not of me. So I don't fear anything. So I definitely, especially when it comes to taking care of people and humanity, fear has to go out the window because people need and people have purpose and worth. So fear has to go out the window. So I'm not afraid to remove political correctness.
On that note, I think it's great to have our panelists and the courage and strength that you showed to speak up and share your points of view. And thank you also for the audience for contributing in such a rich
Just quickly, ladies and gentlemen, I am Alice Bollingworth, chair of our Diversity and Inclusion Week. I would like to thank our distinguished panel again, Keith, Jamie, Lisa, and Dr. Mayer for organizing this, and our wonderful faculty agreeing to bring you here. And some of you are questioning, why this topic? Ladies and gentlemen, diversity, religion is a part of diversity, one aspect of it. You know what diversity is, and we are all diverse, okay? I want to also to just highlight a few upcoming events. This evening at 5 o'clock, we have our mayor, Mayor O'Hare, who will be speaking as our keynote in the CCI Patrick's Auditorium downstairs. Reception starting at 4:30. Our culminating activity is this Thursday, where we will be building community. I have the directors and the dean and staff members preparing hot dogs, hamburgers, veggie beans, cultural performances, all for this week to conclude. You don't maybe have an opportunity to talk to your professors outside or the dean. This is your opportunity and to have fun. This is the first time going back. We're trying to always come up with current topics. This is the first time we had an all-student panel dealing with religion. And I think it's important, given in our society what's going on. And so, again, thank you for being here, and thank you for being a great audience. We would love to have your evaluations as you leave, and we'll put them in the box. Thank you. Give yourself a round of applause.